Rage could be manifested by anybody when they are triggered by something. Even children have tantrums when their needs are not attended to. However, it is a different case when it comes to narcissists. Narcissistic rage could occur regardless of whether it is reasonable or not, as long as the ego a narcissist had been protecting is injured. They often react to such injury by manifesting narcissistic rage. What are the 5 manifestations of narcissistic rage? Let's begin. Number 1. Aggressive manifestation. This is the most typical manifestation of narcissistic rage. It is displayed by screaming or yelling, or it could be expressed in the form of a sudden outburst of intense anger or rage. This is mainly limited to rough verbal attacks accompanied by mild or physical ones, wherein the narcissist just explodes unexpectedly, externally attacking the people around them. Throwing harsh, insulting words or threatening physical harm, narcissists use aggression to cover their pain. This way, people could never suspect that their projected ego is wounded. This is because people's attention will be diverted to their outburst. Also, narcissists use aggression to keep in control and show superiority. Aggressive, loud noises are intimidating. Even animals in the wild falter when they hear one. Narcissists know that people do not like it when confronted with rage, especially a sudden and intense one. People will wonder why such turmoil happens. An example of this is a child submits when a parent intimidatingly yells the word grounded. The same child would never do things that could make that scenario happen again. It is a narcissistic parent's way of keeping the authority. This is because they fear losing control over their children. Number 2. Passive manifestation. What do you mean by passive manifestation? Narcissists use this to keep people's patronage to themselves, as they are sensitive, egocentric, and entitled individuals. They have high opinions of themselves, which brought high expectations of admiration from the people around them. But when these high expectations are not met, even minor criticisms are considered major attacks. It presses the button triggering their vulnerability. But they must not show such vulnerability as a person of superiority. Hence, they manifest rage passively. Passive manifestation of narcissistic rage is when a narcissistic person retreats into a period of sulking, refusing to engage with anybody. It could be displayed in the form of silent treatment or indifference, wherein they show their rage by distancing themselves from others over a while, or they find ways that other people would distance themselves from, like using sarcasm to cut people down. Who wants it when a person close to you suddenly ignores you? Of course, nobody does. A narcissistic man feels threatened when his lover praises other men. It born feelings of jealousy and envy. He then ignores his woman. He will not talk to her for ages. The woman does not like to be treated that way, so she will focus her attention on the man alone from then on. Number 3. Passive-aggressive manifestation. Narcissists manifest narcissistic rage in a passive-aggressive by acting out aggressive impulses in an indirect way, wherein narcissists really feel angry and hostile inside, but instead of showing an aggressive outburst, they chose to express such anger and hostility covertly. Narcissists are inclined to become covertly hostile when they do not get what they want. No matter how unreasonable they may be, reasonability does not actually apply when it comes to narcissistic rage. Passive-aggressive manifestation could be in the form of verbal hostility, like invalidating others' experiences or feelings to put them down. Say, for example, treating a grown adult like a child, making others feel inadequate and insecure. In this way, the narcissist can relieve one's own sense of deficiency, or it could be in the form of hostile humor. They show their hidden anger or disapproval by criticizing others and then back up such criticism with a just kidding phrase, hurling offensive insults jokingly. Other times it could be in the form of stubbornness, like an employee not doing one's job to show resistance, because they do not like the new boss and prefer the former one. Passive-aggressive narcissistic rage could also be displayed by feigning indifference, like showing anger to a friend by giving them food they are allergic to. Number 4. Manifestation through explosive violence. What is the most terrifying manifestation of narcissistic rage? No doubt it is through explosive violence. If the aggressive manifestation of narcissistic rage is mostly limited to rough verbal attacks accompanied with mild or physical ones, then the expression of narcissistic rage through explosive violence is way more severe. Severe in a way that when such manifestation of narcissistic rage occurs, often ends up in police stations and or hospital. It does not stop with screaming, yelling, or intense anger. The verbal and physical abuse are equally brutal. This is why the narcissist is entirely hands-on in conducting the abuse. Various types of violence could be a way to express rage, where things like domestic violence or child abuse or others take place. For instance, narcissistic parents manifesting narcissistic rage through explosive violence are not content in expressing their outrage by just intimidatingly screaming the word grounded to their children. Here, harmful things instead of harsh words are thrown at the child, something that could cause physical injury, worse, death. Or they may inflict physical pain to the child by any means they could think of. Like the aggressive manifestation, they may unexpectedly explode. But this time, the explosion is accompanied by harm that can be inflicted on others. A rage that is expressed with a loud scream is intimidating. But intimidating is an understatement to describe something accompanied by something deadly. Number 5. Manifestation through indefinite neglect. In the passive manifestation of narcissistic rage, narcissists show their rage by distancing themselves from others over a while. Meaning, their rage may mellow down as time passes. They would eventually waive the silent treatment. They will start usually treating people again, and would only do the silent treatment to others from time to time. However, the silent treatment and avoidance are infinite this time in the manifestation of narcissistic rage through indefinite neglect. The narcissist would be distancing themselves from others forever or until further notice. Others are people whom narcissists deem a threat to their fantasy. They express their narcissistic rage here through grudge. Your former relationship with them does not matter at all. Regardless if it's friendship or something even more profound, they could seize such relationship. They may act as if they do not know you at all, or they just forget that someone like you existed. They deny your connection to them. You will not be accepted even as a mere stranger. This is a narcissist way of protecting their wounded self-esteem, eternally cutting people from their life, creating an impenetrable gap, a gap that nothing could bridge. The above manifestations of narcissistic rage, namely aggressive, passive, passive-aggressive, explosive violence, and indefinite neglect, are not exclusive. Know that a narcissist can convey one or more of these manifestations at a time. Remember, however, that a sudden fit or outburst from a specific person does not necessarily mean narcissistic rage. A hurt ego can trigger anger even in people who are not narcissists.